Hello, welcome to Stephen Speak, episode number 20. Getting through series 2 now. There's only a couple episodes left in series 2 before I have a little break and a little bit of a rework of the podcast again, I think, as you're going to hear from an episode on Extra Speak soon. It's going to explain a few things, so I won't go on about that here. Today's episode is going to be about technology and how technology affects us nowadays. But, in our world, where we always have a phone connected to us and other such things. So, yeah, we're going to talk about technology. So, stick with me for that. And, here we go. Welcome to Stephen Speak, the podcast. Unscripted prattle on everything and nothing. Hello, welcome. If you're new to us, hello to any new listeners. Thank you very much for taking a chance on Stephen Speak today. Hopefully I won't disappoint you. It is a bit prattly, I will warn you, but hoping that it appeals to people going on the daily commutes and walking to work or just potting around the house, and they can listen to me talk about random shit. So welcome. So today is going to be about technology, and you're listening to this using technology, unless you've developed some sort of weird psychic ability that you can have it channel straight into your brain, which I very much doubt. But you never know. So I've always loved technology. I've always loved sci-fi, loved reading about what things could be like in the future, and I've never really had like a negative view of it, to be honest. Well, when I was younger, at least, anyway. And I think it's only like in recent years where we can see the derogatory effects of technology. And I'm not saying about it's not so much about, for me, It's not so much about the... Oh, that was a sound change there. I'll tweak that knob more often, says the actress to the bishop. So it's not so much about, for me, the kind of technology, like, because, we got iPhones and things like that. But it's more about how that affects people, which I've never really thought about. I've always like, oh my god, that technology is amazing. Because I think I'm quite balanced, and because I know how to use technology and normally keep up to date with it, that kind of doesn't scare me. And we've all seen the films, The Matrix, Terminator, technology, and AI becoming so much that it kind of takes over and destroys us, which, is a possibility. But I think as a species, I think we can control that. Maybe, but the recent development in AI seems to have kind of made me doubt that a little bit. I've always felt that the Asimov principles of robotics and all them sort of things would maintain our control. AI and what's it called, GPT chat? Not that I've downloaded anything like that. Does make me wonder. Anyway, I'm going to start from the start, from my experience with technology. And it makes you realize like how much things advance, and the gap between like the new generation of like teenagers currently and children now, about what they have at their disposal. And I was talking about this the other day, like kind of like talking about the podcast and stuff, like branding it and getting a podcast out there. I mean, years ago, doing something what I'm doing for my bedroom now, having this Tascam, not a sponsor, but I'm dropping a name there. Having this Tascam mixer, my Mac, another screen to have two screens going, my keyboard and my microphones and all this equipment. Yeah, fair enough. There's a price tag to it, but that was never even attainable back in the day. Like to get licenses just for software and stuff was thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, and they weren't available to the public half the time. So to have something that, fair enough, this Tascam unit was expensive. It was like £400, but it came with the software. Not gonna get into that. Tascam, if you're listening, sort it out. It could be a lot better. I appreciate it's free, but it could be a lot better. Yeah, but this was like unattainable. Like I'm basically broadcasting from my own bedroom my thoughts to the world to anyone that wants to listen. And I think like 30, 40, 50 years ago, that would have been something for the elites, the rich, and people in that industry. And to sit in my bedroom now with a few £100 worth of equipment, that's a little bit more than that. But and my set was probably like £800, the basic, minus the computer, obviously. And that's achievable for most people. If you've got a job and you say it's fair enough, you might have to save up. But that's achievable. I had to save up to do it. We don't all have a massive disposable income like some people, but this home set that I've got is capable of creating good audio and hopefully good quality. But the thing I was talking about as well is like the whole branding of it as well. Me creating a logo, having Photoshop. It's now more about the skill behind that, what these programs can do, rather than the technology being available. Because, again, back in the day, the software wasn't available neither. The software wasn't good enough, let's face it. Like, when I was a kid, CGI and computer-aided design was in its infancy, really. And technology has moved on so fast. And maybe people haven't kept up with the technology. Because you can only release so much into the public eye at so many times. Because the R&D that's being done... Like, it's like televisions, when like flat screen TVs come out, for example. This is going to be back and forth a lot today. No surprise there. But yeah, so when flat screen TVs came out, so CRT screens, cathode ray tubes have been out for years and years and years. So say say 50, 60 years maybe at that point, when the first proper flat screens started to be produced. And then when they come to the public eye, they're obviously super expensive because it's new technology, and you get your plasma screens and your LCD and all that. And they were amazing. Never seen a picture like them. This technology is amazing, but it doesn't last very long, does it? That's the problem as well. Nothing ever lasts. So by the time that this stuff gets to the consumer to be affordable, the next thing's coming out, and the next thing's coming out, and the next thing's coming out. When I remember them saying about moving from HD, like 1080p and 2K, to 4K, and I think it was Sharp, were actually working on an 8K screen before 4K was even released, and they'd got an 8K screen developed. And then when 4K was kind of like getting out there a little bit, someone announced I think it was like a 16K screen or something like that. They'd working on it. It's like, well, hang on, like Jesus, like. This is ridiculous. Like, let us get our feet under the table with this, and let's get a baseline. Because let's face it, most people don't need that sort of quality of screen. I've got a 4K screen upstairs in my room. It's not the best one. It's an LCD. Good LEDs are a lot better. But it was £350, and it's a 55-inch screen. Bargain, brilliant, amazing, love it. But I don't need to have anything better quality than that. I would like an LED all singing, all dancing one. But if I had one of them, like, I wouldn't then upgrade because 8K came out. I have no necessity for 8K. And there's a whole thing about what your eye can actually see. It's more about the motion. So I'd prefer a really, really, really high-end 1080p screen over, say, a 4K or even an 8K or whatever K's come out. Because that would have more value to me to get the best high end of something, but then have more money to spend on accessories or other stuff. I remember going to one of the electronic shops. I don't want to fix it on tellies, but and a new Samsung TV had come out. It was like when LEDs were first coming out, and the contrast ratios were amazing. And I must admit, like, the screen was bloody beautiful. And I just purchased an LCD Samsung 42-inch, an upgrade, and the picture on that was amazing. Still one of the best TVs I've ever owned. Functionality and everything. You could like use your hands and gestures and voice and all stuff to control it. Brilliant. Had a little camera in it, and apparently they said that they were using it to spy on people. Well, I'll say, Samsung, if you spied on me in my house at the time, Jesus, you saw some sights, and can I have some of the footage? Because it'd be funny to me. Probably traumatise a lot of people if that was being broadcast to anyone in an office. yeah, and the picture on that was amazing, but the picture on this LED one was far surpassing the colours and all that, and it was a slightly bigger screen, but it was only like a 40, maybe 48-inch, 46-inch, only a few inches bigger, and it was something ridiculous like $9,000, and my TV had cost me, I think, 800, and I was like, that's pathetic. Oh, was it that much? No, 500, 600, I think it was actually, because it was on offer in the end. I got it as a bargain at 600 quid. Yeah, but this one was like 9 or 8 grand or something. I can't. It was a silly money, and I was like, "Who's buying that?" And the guy in the shop said, "Oh, like we've had quite a few people buy them in the last week." And I was like, "Wow, that's bonkers to me." So if you can hear like some metal, I'm drinking some juice from my. It's like a metal Starbucks takeaway drinks cup. It looks like a McDonald's milkshake cup with a straw, but it's all metal. And don't moan about it being Starbucks. My mum bought it for me. And it's nice. I've left it ages, and it's brilliant. So screw you. Well, not screw you. So, sorry, I'm not being offensive. I'm in one of them moods today where I've got a very short fuse today. No, abuse my audience. Please give me listeners. Yeah. So as a child, moving away from the whole telly thing, but did I even get to the point of that? I don't even know. My point is that consumer stuff is only just developing when they come out with new stuff, really, and it's only like the rich and industry that can really afford this stuff, and it's very wasteful as well. Everyone goes about environment stuff, and it's very wasteful, isn't it, as well? Everyone's pushed to consume. Watch They Live, brilliant. You'll get it. Like, yeah, it blows my mind, and everyone's going on about like wastage and stuff like that. And I know it's like commerce and industry and the consumer world, but I would pay a little bit more money for something which was top end, and I knew was going to last a certain amount of time. And we'll get onto that in a minute as well. Anyway, when I was a kid, the height of technology for me was probably a TV that I owned. When I got a little bit older, I had a little hi-fi system, little single cassette, single CD, FM, AM radio. I had long wave on as well, actually, which I don't think you can get anymore. Well, obviously, long wave radio still exists. The radio waves are still there, but it's not used, I don't think, for commercial. Same with the AM. Is it AM? What's the other one? Medium wave. One of them's not used. I don't know. I'm just talking crap. Surprise. You can tell I'm in a weird mood today. This is my brain. Normally, I feel quite relaxed today. I've been a bit tense doing some of the podcasts recently. I feel chilled today, so I don't know where it's going to lead. Yeah, but the height of that was like personal stereos. And then when I got a bit older, like, and had a bit of disposable money when I was earning my own money, like I bought a mini disc player. And I'm not going to bang on about mini discs. I like mini discs, but that to me was, I don't know. It was that to me was a revelation. It was a CD that was so small inside this little plastic container, and I could hold so much music on it, and the battery lasted so long. In comparison to a cassette player, to the ratio of music you listen to, and that was for me. That was like I was a bit blown away by mini disc, as not just as a format, but as like technology wise. And I was blown away by one of the cassette players I had when I was a kid as well. I had this little cassette player, and it was literally not much bigger than the cassette. And I was thinking, how have they got the motor and all the didgeridoo-dahs stuff in there that makes it work? And that's the technical term for it, didgeridoo-dahs. And yeah, it just kind of mind-boggling. I mean, technology now blows my mind. But yeah, just back in the day, we weren't as reliant on things. Like, people didn't have home computers. Like, and I had a Mega Drive. I had a Sega Mega Drive. That was my first games console, and I went on to a PlayStation after that. And again, PlayStation took CDs. Again, blew my mind a little bit. But yeah, I think technology was kind of in a different place then. It wasn't 100% accessible. It was very much like not mass-produced. So there wasn't like lots of companies producing very similar things, or producing the same things at varying price points. And I mean, you go on Amazon now and you type in something, you can see pretty much the same products from different companies, and you just know they're all made in the same factory. They're just maybe slightly different plastics, slightly different quality control. Varying things like slightly variations on battery sizes and stuff, and you just think, why do we need all these different things? Like, produce one. Again, wastage, you know what I mean? Crazy. And then I think the biggest technology revolution I saw that affected people, apart from like the games console industry, which kind of did explode when I was a kid with like the Mega Drive, and especially when PlayStation came out. I mean, that was massive. Like, everyone wanted one of them, and like and maybe Game Boys actually. That kind of was a revolution as well, being able to take your games on the go properly. I think I had a Game Gear. Like, I think I'm the only person that I know that had a Game Gear. I think maybe Stuart had a Game Gear. I'll have to ask him. Did Scott have a Game Gear? I don't know. I feel like there's not many people I've ever met in my life that owned a Game Gear, which was a Sega handheld portable, and it was immense, but it just burnt through batteries so quick. It was colour screen. I thought when I was a kid it was amazing. You could take a game on the go with you, and I still do now, to be honest. Like, you got your Nintendo Switch and all that sort of stuff, and your 3DS, and the Steam console as well. What's that called now? I can't think. Steam Deck, just stupid name. Yeah, but I loved that, and looking back now, it was shit quality. The screen on it was so blurry, the refresh rate on it was poor, but there was nothing of that sort at the time. So that for me was technology starts to get a bit towards magic. I think when you don't know how things work, or you're just blown away by how small things are getting. And we went through a very much phase with electronics where bigger was better. The bigger something was, it was obviously more expensive. Like hi-fi systems, separates and stuff like that. And you'd have like a tower system in the corner of your room, and it was kind of like a status symbol, especially if you had like the separates and stuff, which I always wanted. My brother-in-law, Michael's got an amazing setup, and I'm very, very jealous of him. And then it kind of like went to like microsystems after that. Like, the technology shrunk while and it's kind of like a cost-saving thing as well, isn't it? It looks cool, it's micro, people don't want to have like these massive setups in the house. But also we're going to save a bit on materials because we can shrink everything down. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, really. We get something that we want as a consumer, kind of like something that's going to sound good but still fit somewhere compact and not take a whole half of the room up. But the manufacturers get a bit of a win because the technology exists that they can make it that small, so they save a bit of money on componentry. So they don't have to build this massive case for everything. Damn the consumerism and corporate world. I'll say it again. I want to live like Star Trek. Let's just better ourselves. Let's just all help each other. Let's just abolish government and just become a federation of our planet, and just like chill out and not have actual jobs, and just everyone just pick what they want to do, and then that's it. Just spread the wealth. That's it. Spread the wealth. And I'll just end it there. That's been decided by Stephen. Like, we're going to spread the wealth. End of. Let's everyone just be happy. Yeah, mobile phones were one of the big things that came out when I was a kid. I mean, they've been around for a while, and you saw them in films and stuff when they were like big bricks. But when they like proper took off, and again the technology was cheap enough, and they could launch it to like the general public at a price where people could actually afford it and have a pay plan that was actually affordable as well, and the network was set up for it as well. That kind of revolutionized not just like technology and the way people communicate, and especially now with smartphones, it's mind-boggling. But it kind of also adjusted people's behaviors and psyche as well, because it becomes a part of your daily carry. Like, you used to leave the house years ago, you needed maybe some money or a wallet or something on you. Well, as a man at least, anyway. And your keys to your house. But now it's... And I used to take some... to be fair, my daily carry always included a personal stereo as well, so like a Walkman or my mini disc player. But in general, you could leave the house quite light, like... And then it started, like, we're adding a phone to that. And then we're adding, like, wireless earbuds. Then we're adding an iPad, and then we're adding a computer that is now portable enough that you can take around and is no bigger than a notebook. Yeah, and I think that all affects your life. We're on technology. I'm on technology now. I work all day on a computer. This is my hobby, but it's computer based, and I'm sending emails and recording stuff, and revising artwork, and then outside of this space, I have other hobbies. Like I was on Lego Digital Designer last night, messing with digital Lego. Don't even start. I know I've got a room full of it, but it's easier sometimes just to picture it in a digital space. And that's what technology's done for us. It's kind of given us these creative tools to be amazing, but also made us kind of lazy and socially inept as well. Because, and there's probably another podcast here, but social media is just constantly on the end of our hand, in this little black box, and whether you're in Android or iPhone, it's there all the time. Instagram, just scroll. Consumer world's at our fingertips. Amazon, you can buy anything. The internet, you can buy anything, literally anything. And I think that, and I don't think it's the fact that technology has gone too far. I think that consumerism's gone too far, and the algorithm's going to get you at some point. And me and Sarah have been talking about algorithms a lot this week, about how things come up on your phone after you've had a conversation. You've not Googled it or anything, but you've had a conversation with someone. So that's a hard sentence to say. Are our phones listening to us? I think the answer is probably yes. Because it's happened too many times to be a coincidence for me, where I'll be talking about some random subject and I'll open my phone up and then Google or something, or an advert will pop up about the thing I was talking about. And for it to happen probably as much as it does is definitely not a coincidence. And that algorithm that kind of is attached to our online identities is quite scary. And that technology, I mean, I can't be without my phone. I mean, I must admit, I can be without it. That's a lie. It's just not. If I didn't have to have it, if I was told you can't take your phone with you, all I would be concerned about is what if someone needed me. And the truth of the matter is, we existed without mobile phones, emails, etc. 30 years ago. It's not the be-all and end-all. If someone needs to find you, you just tell people where you're going to be, roughly, and eventually someone will get in contact with you. And I think we're so scared of, is it FOMO, fear of missing out? I've never used that in my life. I'm not going to use it again. And just being scared of not being connected. But we're not connected anyway half the time. How many people on your friends list do you actually see in real life? Probably a very, 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 very low percentage, I would say. And that's kind of sad. And just because we have this connection online, it doesn't mean that it's like a false representation of us and our well-being, really. And I just think there's a lot of pressure now from technology. It's not the technology itself. The technology is amazing. My iPhone, yes, I have an iPhone. Boo. I used to have an Android as well, so it's not like I'm sitting on either fence. It's fine. But it does so much amazing stuff. There is an app. There was a whole saying, wasn't there? There's an app for that, and there is, isn't there? Your phone is now your camera, so you don't have to carry a camera with you if you go away anywhere. The camera on my phone is good enough that I don't have to take a camera with me. I do have a separate digital camera. God knows if it even works now. I'm sure the battery's buggered on it. But I say, I don't have to remember phone numbers. Do you remember when you had to remember people's phone numbers? I used to have a mobile phone that you couldn't save a number in it. Well, you could, but then if you were to text someone, you couldn't just you had to open a message and then type the number and you wanted to message. Nowadays, you would just go into your phone book and just click on message this person. That was not a thing. Young people that are listening to this, that was not a thing. I think you're very, very lucky. I don't have to remember birthdays. Everything's in my calendar. And I would like to say that space has been filled up by other things, but I don't think it is. And I think fundamentally we need them things to keep our brains kind of active as well. Like that social stuff is important. But as I'm sat here now, I'm just scrolling through my phone, and I don't know how many apps are on my phone. I think it tells you, doesn't it, if you go into the settings. But yeah, there's literally an app for everything. And I wouldn't be without the apps, if I'm honest with you, because I use them. I'm sure it tells you. Oh yeah, I think it's we go to storage, isn't it? I think on this one. Let's have a look. Applications. I have 289 applications on my phone. Now, obviously, some of them are going to be like the built-in Apple ones. But yeah, I mean that's a lot of shit on the phone, isn't it? That's a lot of shit. I mean, I have like 3 different email applications because I've got my Gmail, I have my Steven Speak email on a separate app just to keep them separate, and I have my work emails on my phone as well, just in case I need to check in on anything if I'm on call or anything. And then all your social medias, and yeah, I have 3 browsers on my phone as well, and then I've got, it's just mad. And then like, your Costa card and your Starbucks card, and I've got one for a local cafe on there. It is bonkers. A few games, but your phones now it isn't just a phone. It's like an entertainment lifestyle device. Like it's a computer in your pocket, isn't it? Let's face it. And it kind of blows my mind that like the first iPhone had more computing power, like a lot more computer power than the thing that took the thing that we got to the moon in, like the rocket we got to the moon in, which it probably isn't hard to think about really, but the fact that 25, 26 years later, or 30, what was it, 28 years later, when did they go to the moon? I can't do maths. 30, like 38 years later, that there's a thing that you can carry around in your pocket that does everything. Emails, speak to people, video call people, video things, take pictures, then send them to people, make fart noises, pretend you're drinking a beer. Do you remember that app where you pretend you're drinking a beer? And then the next step is AI, Where's that going to take us? Like, I feel that the AI thing is a little bit more scary. And I think Elon Musk and that, they signed some petition, didn't they, to look at it and not release the next version of it or something, because they think there's a real risk to mankind, which, when all these, like, kind of great minds are saying that, it's either because they're scared that it's going to take away from them, or there may actually be a risk to humanity, which is really, really, it's a really bizarre place to be. And I never thought that Terminator or The Matrix might come true, but you never know. Maybe there will be a 0-1 created at some point where all the robots go and live whenever we create robots. I suppose that has to happen first. Yeah, very, 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 very weird. I've tried to stay off of social media recently. You may have seen my posts have become a bit less. I'm not really using TikTok. Not really using TikTok. That app kind of, it's great, but it annoys me at the same time, and I kind of don't want to be part of it, so I think I'm going to remove myself from that. But I'm just trying to stay a bit more level, and not have as much technology on my face. Even though I love it. And I think, you know what? The most amazing advancement I thought in the last, like 15, 20 years was the iPad. Because when I used to watch Star Trek The Next Generation, I'll end on this, when I used to watch Star Trek The Next Generation as a kid, one of the things I always thought was amazing was when they were doing work on this little thin, in the show it was probably like a plastic board, wasn't it? But this little screen, and they could read reports and read books and carry it around and do diagnostic checks and kind of input onto it. I don't think ever saw them using a stylus with it. I'm not sure. Maybe you did. I always thought that was amazing. And when the iPad came out, because obviously the iPhone's like a mini version of that, but I never really took that leap to make that bigger. Like, I never thought that would be a possibility. I don't know why. And then when the iPad was released, I was just like, well, we're Star Trek, aren't we now? Like, we're on track to be Star Trek. And may that long continue, and we come to an understanding and live with technology rather than let it control us and let it just be for just commercial growth and just big business making shit ton of money. Yeah. Unfortunately, can't see the money thing changing, but hopefully the social standpoint might even out a little bit, and we can not have everything just shoved in your face through social media all the time, and not having fake news. Don't get me started on that. That's probably another. Maybe I should just start a rant podcast because I feel very ranty recently. Right, thank you very much for listening. What are your thoughts on technology? What was your first piece of proper tech that you thought, wow, that's magic? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop me a line, social media at StevenspeakPC, and let me know. And let me know if there's any topics you'd like to hear on the show. And if you'd like to be a guest, go to stevenspeak.com and fill in the contact details. But for now, thank you very much for listening. Take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you soon. You've been listening to Steven Speak the podcast. Thanks for listening to my unscripted prattle on everything and nothing. Visit stevenspeak.com for updates, information, and my blog. You can follow more updates on social media at StevenspeakPC. Thanks very much, and I'll speak to you soon.